much for turning up on a busy evening with traffic. I've been hearing a couple of nice stories. Welcome to our panelists and have together Yaman, Kavita, Yaman, sorry, and Thomas, the man, not the agency. Yes. We've got a lovely flow of the evening. We're going to start with the difficult bit first. Get the swallow the frog, like they say, not literally. And then we're going to have a couple of certificates we're going to give away, and then we're going to have one of our sponsors who's going to be speaking on why and what is in it for them to support the ICS, so that we all know why we get the support and why we get those lovely sandwiches out, and who pays for this event after all, because we have a lineup of 2 or 3 events which also we will run through and talk about. We are missing Janani today, so we've gone with an organic way of getting on with the evening. Usually she does a fantastic job of the evening by being our voluntary MC. So we miss her today, and as a result, I've got some big nerves coming up. So without much ado, we're going to have an opening question to our panelists, and they will be self-introducing themselves. Only because I'm lazy, but I think they'll do a better job of themselves in being introduced than me reading out their bio. So that's me getting out of the way. After we ask the opening question or two, we'll open up the floor, and we want a lot of interaction from y'all. We have a Slido scan code up there so that it becomes very crisp and short, by the way, for asking us the questions. It's easier for our panelists to refer to the questions, but we have a hovering mic which we can always come back to, and you all can justify that. So my name is Zarir Irani. I am part of the ICS Committee Middle East, and I have another year and a half to go. And my role in the committee is for business development and events. And I've been reliably told both those portfolios are doing very well. With that modesty, let me turn around the sequence of events, traditional, whereby I do want to acknowledge ladies do come first. So, Kavita, you would have traditionally gone first, but I don't want to put you on the spot because Kavita has told me take it easy. So, I'm going to let her breathe. And I'm going to go on the right side. The man with the third, Kavita. Kavita, you represent the charters of the PNI Club. And what do you think? We are Institute Chartership Group. We are here to talk about claims strategy, best practices. In your world of chartering, how would you look at that? What would be your opening comment on what we have talked about on claim strategies, best practices from a charter's PNI perspective? Please help introduce yourself and ask the questions.
Thank you, Zarir. I'm an underwriter of the Charters PNI Club. We predominantly insure people charges. So the question is that as an underwriter, I will ask a claims question. I hope there are no claims because I want to make the maximum money. So I keep my underwriting hat aside for some time at least, and get to the topic of today, which is basically claims. Now, best practices, one must understand that chartering is, and the charters are a different way of people whose intention is to move cargo from A to B. And whenever you have claims in chartering, it's largely contractual. And the question which was Zarir asked me is that charters need to be a step ahead of the game because they're not in front of the ship. They don't, employ a master on on board the ship, and there's a claim which is arisen, and if that claim trickles down to the charter, then he is going to be, sitting there, wondering why this claim comes to him. So one thing which we, teach, educate through various platforms, ICS being one, is to understand the contracts. Because in the chartering world, contracts are fixed within 30 minutes. Right? If you ask the shipbroking community here, sometimes the subjects are even lifted in 12 minutes. So the person who is actually facing the ship is actually not a BNI person, not a lawyer, he's a commercial guy, commerce background. So where I feel that the charters need to be a step ahead is to use platforms where they educate themselves contractually and then understand when they're contracting at the pre-fixed stage. The other thing is that is pre-fixture, but then I go one step ahead. When there are claims, then you need to understand that you don't have access to the ship. Right? So we find a surveyor is sent that the master says you're not welcome. So how do you get evidence? So if you're going to manage your post-fixture operations, is not going to think ahead how to put forward the request of investigative survey boarding the ship, talking to the shipowner. Then you're going to face issues later on when the claims come due. So that's the other thing, which is basically appointing of surveyors at the right time and passing on that message to the shipowners as to what is your intention. Of course, it's a protected position.
No, that's open comment. Okay. So we want to give a bit of a perspective on each aspect. So you give a very nice perspective on charters that usually the FICS market. There's a lot of tips and contracts that take a very important role. We want to give a little flavor of what it takes to look at claims in different perspectives. Now you spoke about ship not being in control, but the owners have full control, and the owners behind have seemingly now at least the surveyors are on hand. So my next question, my opening comment of the evening to the owners behind perspective, to Enam goes to ask them, what does it take? Do you first of all agree? There's like a little bit of that. Do you first agree that the charters will have control and you have perspective enough on the claim strategy from an owner's PNI perspective? Please tell us the views and let us have the views of
Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to say, Middle East operations and offshore the West of England. Thank you very much for your question. I think we, as a mutual PNI club, we do both areas of charters. So we see both ends of the spectrum. And often we have scenarios where we may get conflict. So it's not a pure open perspective we see on the both sides. I think charters are out of control because they are they're closer to the ship in terms of the changing out of information. I think quite often what we struggle with is that flow of information. I think that's a real challenge, particularly in this market. I think we often struggle to get information flow and disclosure. I think that leads on to my when we're really having the early analysis and discussions. We can save a lot of time and costs.
Yeah. So where do correspondents sit in your claim strategy?
Well, correspondents are rising, because I think we've heard that many times. But they're the guys that are the closest to the market. They know the agents very well. So we rely on them heavily. I think that they're an extension of the club. So yeah, that's really
That brings me nicely to you, Kavita. You know from Enam that they are so important to the extension.
Yeah.
So in your role as a correspondent who represent charters and owners as their local point of contact who has all the knowledge, where do you see correspondents playing a role in claims strategy, best practices in claims strategy? Please have introduce yourself. Tell us from where you're coming, background of where you're so that we all know.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kavita and I'm the regional PNI manager in GAC. I come from Mumbai. I used to work for Moores for last 13 years. I'm handling the digital management team there. And before that, in the list tower also. Coming to your question on the correspondence role, I think correspondence play a very important role, be it for charters or for owners or PNI. As Enam rightly said, that we are the eyes and ears in this field. We are near the local regulations, locations, and at some point, I think we have better perspectives and understanding of the local authorities. We have a better connect with them, and that really helps handling these cases.
Yeah, thank you. I think so. Do you think as correspondents you are more needed in places where language is a barrier, connections are hard to get, like maybe I don't know name country, but somewhere very obscure place like Dubai where you don't think people know people. Do you see that much?
Yeah, of course. Not speaking about Dubai, of course. But then, yes, we have seen a need for knowing local languages as well as local authorities better in other regions, say Africa. And in fact, here also, we do depend on local experts like law firms for that matter, or technical experts, and in fact, translation is done. So, yeah.
Now, clearly, the age old times before BlackBerries and chats and WhatsApps, correspondence with only people via telex that were in communication. But in today's communication world, still simply have to talk from both players correspondence because there are enough letters guarantee and extension of the number. Thank you very much for your opening comments. That brings me to our lawyer friends. I'm not allowed to talk. Good morning. But correspondence, lawyers are true. Especially good ones. You will love them as well. So, Yaman, do you think lawyers play any role in claim strategy? Or when you see it all on belly up, it's only that is when they are called?
I think, honestly, my name is Imam Hawamdeh. I head the shipping and logistics team at Dubai. Has been in the country for 18 years now. So I think lawyers do play a major role in claims. When we talk about managing claims, these are the kind of managing proceedings and being in court. It's funny how the legal market developed and the claims market developed in every country. I've seen it regionally. So, for example, you will get some incidents in some countries in the region, and where the insurer, as a PI club, or even if it was a conventional insurance, they will instruct us as lawyers and say to their insurance instructor, they will come, they will investigate, they will help you to manage the claim. And sometimes those parties will say, but hold on, we're not in court. Why are we sending lawyers? And why lawyers need to be in court? And this is why the legal market developed and the claims market developed. People become more aware of the importance of having lawyers. And Enam said something important. He mentioned the word disclosure. Like, for example, in these countries here, there is no need of disclosure. So there is also at the same time, there is no without prejudice concept. So if you have a party who is communicating very openly with his charters or with the port authority or with the environmental authorities in an incident and marking things without prejudice or sending genuine, honest email, thinking that these will not be used against them in court, then it gets used against them. Or sometimes it doesn't come from the up. I've seen it all coming with all respect, of course, from surveyors, like when the surveyor is doing his job in an honest way, discussing it with the carpenter, talking about, yeah, this is how we're gonna manage with the damage to the carpet. But those emails then after 2-3 years are used in court against his own principle. So yeah, lawyers do play, I think, in more and more a bigger role, especially on casualty side and on big matters. Yeah.
Do you think normally lawyers are calling too late in the game? Would you like to have lawyers involved?
This is so in Dubai, for example, I don't think they are going too late. But again, this is it's the education part that you mentioned about the market. It's for example, in other countries, the reason we do see ourselves coming too late in the game after there was lots of exchanges, things which we cannot reverse.
Yeah, so we can't talk just the traditional claim without being a bit futuristic. So that brings me to a completely different perspective and the language of claim, which is now changing more and more towards the digital risk, towards cyber risk. I know we had a discussion earlier, and Yaman, you have some comments on the bill of lading and the frauds associated, which I will come around to ask you, but not before I ask Tom to make his opening comments. And on the cyber world, where do you see the overlap of the old and the upcoming new risks that are coming up? Please have introduce and tell us your views.
Yeah, hi everyone, Tom Cook. I head up the cyber division at Hawamdeh. I've been with this month now. Prior to Hawamdeh, I was at Chuck for the past 7 years. When it comes to cyber, it's still got similarities to other lines, despite the new kid on the block. One of the key parts I mentioned earlier was pre-event and post-event. This is exactly the same when it comes to cyber. One thing that I would highlight, especially when it comes to cyber events, is first of all, clients need to understand the policy they're buying. And this is relevant for all lines of business, but especially with cyber, because one of the things clients don't understand is they get an incident panel. Now, the incident panel is there to help clients during the event, whether it's actual or suspected. So, one of the first things we see, and again, I think it's simple to all lines of business, is panic. Cyber especially. The more you panic, the higher your business interruption costs are going to be. So why don't you use your incident response panel to start mitigating the incident, restoring the system, and finding out what the issue is. When it comes to our parts for pre-event management training, we would also say what kind of phishing awareness and notions are you testing. One of the things we would always say as well is, what's your incident response plan? An incident response plan for cyber is relevant, but this is for all other lines of business as well. You have to make sure you factor for every kind of attack, whether it's cyber or non-cyber. During the event, one of the things that we always look at as well, after it's been the incident response panel, is you get your claims preparation cost included as part of your policy. So trying to understand how much your claims cost, especially in cyber business interruption, is going to be confusing because you're trying to uncover the unknown. But what you have as part of your insurance policy is the forensics who work alongside you. That's covered as part of your insurance work as well.
Do you think speed of response is key for mitigating risk as a best practice?
I've got one example I'm happy to share here. This was from my prior time at Chuck. One of the first things I tell clients, especially now as a broker, when they purchase their policy, is print off a hard copy. We're talking about cyber insurance, we're trying to make it sound futuristic, we're becoming more digital. One of the reasons we say print your policy is because the example I had in the past was a client who kept their insurance policy in line, suffered a ransomware attack, the systems were shut down. They called me up, we've got an event, I need to call my panel. Well, just look at your policy. I can't access my system.
Yeah.
So as much as we move into the digital age, we also have to remember that sometimes the best idea is to keep everything as simple as possible. And this lost the client 2 hours of extra business interruption costs, and the revenue for this client was well over $700 million per annum. So then 2 hours, if you know, a simple way, divided by 365 days by 24 hours afterwards. That's extra cost that was covered by the insurance, but I don't need it cost at the same time.
So, thank you very much. That was mind-boggling, those numbers. But the best way to have a panel discussion, I've been told, is to involve the audience. So you finished off with the opening remarks. If there's somebody having pressing questions, we want to come early and ask the question to panelists. If not, we've got a few pre-event questions lined up. So if anybody has questions, please raise your hands. Getting on with the next question. Coming to you straight away with that digital fraud and bills of lading, which is now trending and everyone's talking about.
I was just aware of what Tom was talking about, honestly, and I wanted to ask him how common and how the market is accepting this type of cover in the Middle East. I mean, is it becoming more common? Because the maritime law, they really have introduced digital bills of lading. So I think this ties up to some kind of that kind of insurance. I think we're heading to digitalization probably maybe one step maybe for Europe. So.
Yeah, on my side, when I first moved to Dubai six years ago, predominantly it was only major financial institutions who were interested in cyber insurance. We've seen that trend change to companies of all different sectors, as well as all different sizes. Normally it was only large corporations interested, but we're seeing, especially from outside Howden, claims are happening to a host of different sectors of different sizes. This could be for different reasons, whether you look at monetary gain, it could be for political gain, it could be nation state. There's different reasons for every different cyber attack that we see. But when it comes to the UAE, one thing I would probably anticipate is mandated cyber insurance for certain sectors and potentially different free zones. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe DIFC, ABM introduces a mandated cyber insurance in the next couple of years. We've seen this in other territories. I would say when it comes to cyber insurance, one of the things that the UAE is probably falling behind as well as the wider UCC is lack of information about the claims that have happened. When you look at GDPR, there's a regulatory requirement that attacks are posted in news for everyone to see, but it's not necessarily the case here. When it came to, say, a CrowdStrike event a few months ago, that was one of the global supply chain disruptions that really put awareness on the map that should have been highlighted well over 10 years ago.
Bills of lading, you've got a short perspective.
See, as you know, we represent the commodity world where, they issue bills and master issues bills as a carrier. I have one client in Asia who does that. I mean, we cover fair amount of market. That the culture of issuing electronic bills is just not there. People don't want to touch and feel it. So it's a lot of value. So they're very scared to get on blockchains and issue electronic bills. From a policy or insurance perspective, most of the clubs in our we offer the extension that in case there's claim arising of electronic bills lading, you are covered for your respective liabilities under the policy. But I don't see the trend happening. We do get questions asked. In Europe, maybe it's a bit more, but just generally Asia, China, India, Middle East, all the developing countries, I think electronic bills which 10 years online. We talk to the trader and he says he wants to issue electronic bills. It's very difficult because he's going to get paid on this or that. Then the confidentiality of the whole trade is buying and selling. It's up in some cloud servers, so it's very nervous of names being released, things like that.
Yeah, but it's going to change. Things are changing. Acceptability may not be instant or fast as expected, but it's writing on the wall. Things are getting digitalized, and the first movers do have advantage. And the orthodox way, we still have some countries who are cold power. It's still there. And some of them are getting rid of their nuclear plants they had set up years ago. So it is a changing world. I think more and more digitalized will be accepted. with the Mali student next time.
I used to have head 3 years ago, and I've lost it.
You lost it, that's what we're looking at it. But we covered the evening very popular with the questions. Government cars, changing the topic slightly from electronics to good old traditional buying government cars. What's your experience been with government cars related quality or operational claims? We've got a question up there. So do you have an experience to share with us?
I joined GSA only 6 months back. So here definitely not. But in my previous roles, I have dealt with claims on government cargo, and in such cases, it's very crucial to get in a surveyor appointed at the right time to look into what the damage is, how it's occurred. Time is of essence in these kind of cases, I believe. And looking at it with a very different perspective, because of course government is involved, so you can't just go ahead with anything. But everything you say or negotiate on the claim has to be subjected with survey reports and proper research. That's all.
No, the government claims go with a certain amount of, oh my God, a lot of attached to it because, they put up a claim and it's a port, it's government, but it's government cargo or military cargo, and they have claims. There's a certain amount of differentiator. And I'm glad you mentioned surveyor because they play an important role. That's the only first line of defense you have. Thank you, somebody acknowledging our community. I know you haven't touched upon it slightly while you're speaking. But that's your evidence collection. You don't have that right in place. You don't have professional people that are very hard for you to encounter it or even negotiate with it. But yeah, thank you very much for your experience. I hope Anushka answered your question. We have one question which, one small, thank you all for putting in, but the anonymous bit is a bit unnerving. When there is a name attached to the question, like I see the man was asking, please put your names up when you're asking a question. Make me very comfortable around it. So encourage people to please put the name. I promise take your questions if you put your name up. Anonymous. But now we got something for you, and they say a 20% combined ratio. Does this mean cyber insurance is priced incorrectly? The question of that first one for you.
So when it comes to cyber insurance, we have to remember that the first policy was underwritten just over 30 years ago under the name of those liability. So it's still in its infancy stages where the cycles are probably a lot different from hard soft compared to other lines of insurance. I would say that despite, and this is specific to the Middle East as a region, despite the claims increasing, we're actually seeing year-on-year rate reductions. The reason for this is because capacity that used to be historically or predominantly just in for the US and the EU is starting to move towards the Middle Eastern regions. We're seeing new entrants open shop. I mean, QB have just started doing cyber insurance from this region, Markel this year, Mosaic last year. So, the historic only markets are, AIG, Chubb, BNP. It's no longer working that way. We have, whereas 6 years ago, maybe 5 insurers that would only do Middle East Africa, we've now got over 40 different insurers. So that leads to the better terms and conditions in that way. We're also seeing that insurance companies are amending their rating systems. The rating systems that we used to price risk in the past are being changed consistently, depending on the type of attacks that we're seeing. We're seeing that clients are improving their infrastructure security controls, but claims are still rising. Now, this is something that you have to navigate, where you could have the best class control systems in the world, but IBM just released their data breach report, 95% of claims are due to the human error factor when it comes to cyber insurance. So despite having SIEM stock in place, instant response, business continuity plans, audits tested, all it takes is one click of a button. And these are always targeted attacks that we see as well. So I can see one of the questions here being about one of the unusual claims that we see. With cyber, one of them from my side is they choose the date on purpose. If it's a ransomware attack, it doesn't happen from day one. There's normally 2 or 3 months of infiltrating the system, trying to find what information they like, what information they don't like, what can they take. Normally we see, maybe I'm just an unlucky person, but most of my friends happen on Christmas Day. Because what day are you going to choose some of the most disruptive ones? You're going to choose it on days that most people are working and want to be at home with their family instead. So there's normally targeted attacks that we see from outside as well. But claims are increasing, but prices go down, wordings are changing year on year. It's just a cycle that I'm probably going through, and it's not going to change.
I know Enam has been quiet for a while, but must say that you all have been the first IG club to Dubai. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm here with my colleague Kavinit, who's going to be leading on this.
Kavinit, CEO of West of England, welcome, sir. We have these, sorry, but we have these bursts of surprises every now and then. But tell me from an owner's perspective, taking on from what Tom said about cyber, I don't know how to start out there. I don't know whether you want to comment from or you have knowledge of the claim perspective from a digital aspect. But then do you, from owner's perspective, see more and more owners being aware of cyber risk as a P&I club, as a P&I risk? Does it come out as a P&I risk? What is your advice usually as an IG club in charge?
Sure. So as you know, West, as a partnership with Astara, we are cyber risk specialists. And we provide a ship-only cover as well, the rural distribution and P&I policy. But when the IMO brought in regulation, the investors had to quickly unsee where if they weren't cyber resilient, I think we saw a gap in the market there. And that's actually been an opportunity for Astara to work with a lot of our owners to make them insurable. So in fact, actually, what we discovered was a lot of the members, they weren't even in a position to consider for cyber insurance because they had such poor systems in place. So I think in terms of the awareness is there, but as Tom said, I think there is an element of embarrassment as well. So unless you're at the mercy of the MSCs and it's so public, there is a lot of cybercrime that is unreported, purely because the embarrassment and the error is so basic. One of the few that we come across is where someone's forgotten to update certain windows, and that's been so to answer your question, I think the owners are very aware. We, as a P&I club, with a lot of prevention, we do a lot of seminars and training. And actually, we call it cyber hygiene, I think it's a term that we use. And particularly, we see more on the offshore side, where more investors are very technical, equipment is very technical. But what we see there's a gap in certainly the education of the crew members. But typically, when you go to a ship owner, you say, what's your cyber policy? They say, oh, they're in the IT club. The IT club, he hasn't got a clue. So we're saying it's got to come top down. It's got to be a chief exec, it's got to be a COO, it's got to come top down, it's got to be, the culture's got to be from there. And there's a huge gap, and we're one of the 12 clubs, and we're doing one bit, and I think the other clubs are doing their bit as well. But there's the problem is there. It's on that, it's on the way.
Yeah, congratulations on the first club to move into Dubai. Finally, Dubai has seen some serious movement from the IG club. I'm sure more will follow, and we reliably told there's another one following soon.
People win first.
And we've been recorded, so we'll say anything more, all that say about it. There is another question saying that how does West deal with both owners and charterers of members of West? Is there a conflict? How do you build up the Chinese wall? You have completely different offices, claim floors, one doesn't talk to the other, bar, or how do you go?
Okay, so I mean, as a result of growing the business on the charter side, we have a specialist charterers team, which is based in London, and so predominantly the charterers entry is in that team. But I'll give you an example. There was the two virus incidents, one of which was the Abdullah, and Abdullah only entry was in my team, the charter's entry was in my team, and the sub-charterers. So we had 3 entries in one team. And I mean, it's not the first time, but typically we have other teams in London, so there is a separate head of claims that would oversee it. All our files are digital, they're all locked, there's no access to them. So that's how we would do it. But I think before we do any of that, we do usual conflict notification to each member, explaining what they're happy for us to put that in place. But we're very alive to that, and there's clear separation.
I mean, I've seen clubs, obviously, especially on IG level, managing it, and it was done in really a professional way, where even we ended up negotiating on behalf of the club, with the club, basically. So, yeah.
I mean, if it gets very contentious, typically you just appoint external lawyers for the members, and they can just deal with it now. There's no suggestion of preferential treatment or smaller member or big member.
It's basically acting in the best interest of the.
I love a little debate on the panel. Maybe you all can't see Kavinit, but he's smoking under his mustache. So I'll ask you this question. Do you think it would be better off for the member to have his owner's entry with the West and Charter's entry with Charter's?
He actually did it.
No, it will go who are running. Well, I mean, very good question.
I know the company told me to write it.
Very good. Very good. At least you answered very well done, sir. But Kavinit, what is your stand? And please be controversial and open about it. Because we want to know from a perspective of the audience that is it better to have a separate club as an entry for owners and separate charter, or you think it's absolutely all right? What's your view?
Okay, just to give background, I've been a charter club, and this is my first job when I got off the ship. So I haven't had another job. So I've been born in the chartering market. So as I said, that I would like to keep my underwriting hat aside from the involves commercials of running a business. But thank you, Goa, for asking. Who's been an ex-client for 30 years. It comes from the right person actually who was the charter club in this case capacity. But I think we should take a step back and understand how what is mutuality and fixed premium, right? All the IT clubs where you have no entry is put in a pocket, which is the mutual pocket. The science and the commercial of that pocket are quite different to when it comes to fixed premium products. As time is evolved, and learning from my seniors at the Charters Club, we started in the 1950s, right? Very few IT clubs offered insurance to charter. So we, as a club, stuck to our principles of conflict of interest when it came to the NIC especially. Where you have an own entry in the mutual member, and we really don't call members, they're policy holders. Like what you have your medical or your car policy, you call it in assured rather than a member. So I think all of us do a good job out of it. I personally believe that, as I said earlier, that in BNI claims, you don't have access to the ship. And anytime we send Zarir on a ship, the first question Zarir asks me, does your charter, has he told the master that I am wearing the charter's hat, I am to come on board, investigate, why did the grounding happen? Why did the casualty happen? Why did the vessel, did the tug not respond and the vessel collided with the jetty? And 9 or 10 times, and I do underwriting across Asia, whether it's Vietnam, Singapore, Dubai, Middle East, India. We are nervous because if it's not told to the master with a bit of force, he will speak to his PNI club and deny access. Now, yes, we can go all the way to the disclosure stage, but don't forget, unless it's a large liability matter, you don't really reach the disclosure stage because there's a lot of cost you have to get people like Yaman involved. And for small matters, you really don't, want to test it. Whereas we find the ship owners really testing the liability and trying to transfer that to the charters. So On the face of it, yes, the clubs do a good job. They do different pockets, whereas we just focus on protecting the charter's interest. I think everybody has their own examples to relate to. And I think we stick to our position on terms of conflict of interest on PNI. I guess you have your defense matters which are more commercial in nature, which is still fine, but on the PNI side, I think the largest claim we've had is about almost $200 million. And if our surveyor didn't reach the ship at the right time, I think we would have been sitting with that $200 million claim. And because we had access to information on the past transactions, that led to defending them. So things like that, but then these are tested on large claims. These are not tested on $50,000 groundings, and these are tested where the claims cost $10 million, and then you have everybody trying to protect it.
So without being a politician, yes or no? Good thing to have two different clubs owners or not?
Well, as I said,
yes or no? You said your explanation is all rounded. You make a very good data, but I want to know whether or not it is better to have the volatility and the.
You're really pushing to be.
I am putting it on the spot. Yes or no?
Well, I'm true to my job. I think yes, you should have.
What about you? You agree? Or you don't agree? That's why they were trying to do.
Well, I think it's not yes or no answer because we have owned tonnage that also charge tonnage.
As long as you have to say it depends.
I'm worried. So
You're right.
No, I think it depends on the nature of the operator. And which is like, I think where you have some of the big line operators and container ships, they have very tonnage and charge because they want to keep it in one place. It makes sense. But if you're some sort of trader, you're just NBOCC or sharing slots on the vessel, it probably makes sense to have that on pure charters.
So what we're seeing, the entire market is changing. I keep giving this example. I mean, 20, 25 years ago, shipping lines used to call, appoint agents, and if now all shipping lines with all the agents, they are stepping outside into logistics. They want to do warehousing. And some of them are, we face some clients. We try not to have bunker supply, for example, but now the bunker suppliers are ship owners, and they are traders, so they are also our clients on the trading side. So it's I think you cannot avoid, I can have to say, cannot separate in a traditional way that taking this one.
I mean, the other thing to make is, and it comes out of service. So, PNI mutual price is one thing, but not much in it. It's all down to service. So typically, as you said, a lot of members that have offshore vessels, tankers, cruise ships, they have the whole range. And they decide to keep them on the club because they like the service.
Talk about conflict and what GSC represents. I don't know. It started with Uber. He started this question about conflicts of interest thing. So here's GSC, who represents all 12 clubs. So here's if there is a charter and you get a correspondence nomination, both sides, how do you manage?
We work very well. We work very well with conflicts. We work very well with Chinese walls in place, and we are not just one or two persons. We are 8 of us. So we keep a very good balance between the teams, handling owners and charters differently. And I think it sometimes helps also because, after the case and after everything is done, you get a lot of learning out of it on what you could look at differently. And that learning stays with us in that case.
Is it a good claim strategy? We are talking about best practices of claim. Is it one of the best practices, or do you think it actually comes in the way of?
It is a good practice, and not only from correspondent point of view, from my earlier experiences also I have seen valid for both owner and charterers. And we all in this industry know very well how Chinese calls work. So, and we are all professionals, right?
Yeah.
So,
I do. Yes.
yes.
Good. No, thank you. This is assuring to know it's all good, and I'm sure the customer mind all we all then have your responses. But you have a comment to make on it.
See, practically this is quite critical. I see that I'm quite practical. We get questions asked, especially in countries where this is one person, right? And islands, trade happens across the world, right? So we get questions asked from, the ship owners generally get quite trained because they get good training from the loss prevention department. But when coming to pure charters, his objective is to take this cargo from A to B, who doesn't even know the meaning of a person. And the moment he starts seeing that, oh, this surveyor sent an owner's club, why is the same person sending us survey? Would the information not be leaked? Practically, a trader or a pure ship operator will ask. I'm not talking about the big boys of the world. 50-60% of the trade is done by smaller companies. So I'm addressing the smaller companies because trade is just expanding, right? It's just all over the place. It's not a traffic growth of the world or because of the world. There are about 100 small traffic growths, right? Those people will ask the question, is my report going to be leaked? So we get asked, so we find that the only correspondent you have, and there's the Chinese wall. But if the report is negative, even if your surveyor does a good job of trying to defend the charter's position, and you really feel that no, there's nothing in it, it is not the owner's fault, you will be looked at differently. And the conversations, okay, I'm an underwriter, but I get caught and saying, no, your correspondent is not right, or the surveyor is reducing our position. So it is not an easy task, and we always look for an alternate correspondent to avoid that uncomfortable question, especially in North Africa, especially places in South Asia where it's just one correspondent. So what I would expect, like law firms have conflict checks, I think we get that message from the correspondents as well about Chinese calls. I think we may need to do more than write one line. We take disappointment, but there's a Chinese call. Because by quote unquote, a message to my trader, understand that. He would say, what Chinese? So we need to change a bit of terminology and get across maybe non-disclosure or some sort of document which we can sign other than just saying one line, it's a Chinese one. They could be a large thing.
They should put it information barrier.
Yes. Information barrier, because there were Chinese here, they would have probably questioned the policy. Why are they leaving the whole after us? Is there something in it? I'll leave it to that. We'll stop after that. Let's not get into that because we've got a live recording going on. But thank you very much. That's what you have to say about conflicts. You good. But that, I love a debate on the panel. But that was a fantastic question started. Coming back to the digital aspect, we got Dinesh asking a very interesting question to you now, or rather to Enam. Sorry, Tom, you can pitch in if you like. But Irani Clubs, they envisage to 27,000 marks data security ISO certification that is becoming mandatory for owners and charters to be accepted as members. Do you envisage this happening? Do you see this becoming much like the quality certificates that the ISO 9001 as a benchmark for quality management, the COSASH that we have as 14,001? Like that, do you think it's becoming a norm, or wrong?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think this is more an underwriting question. So, from my sort of claims perspective, working with the underwriter, it may not be a requirement, but I think any shipper or any potential member can demonstrate that they've exercised additional due diligence and have all these additional certification in place, puts them in a much better position than someone who's trying to get cover.
Perceived as a better risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying more than that.
Yeah. Tom, do you see it as an argument from cyber perspective of writing a risk that somebody's showing you an ISO 27,000 certificate?
Yeah, so we follow what he has said. pulls more on the underwriter side by coming as an insurance broker. It would make my life much easier, and knowing that clients have this certificate, it self-completes a lot of the forms that they would have to propose them. Do I think the mandated side? No, personally not. A lot of, cyber is always going to be consistently changing in terms of the attacks and claims that we see. I think it's harder to sort of predict how the next 10 years of our claims will go, but when you sometimes look at, I don't know, earthquake, fire, and flood risks, you've got hundreds of years of historical data. So you can aggregate to an extent, but it's hard to aggregate on my end. I think it's important for clients to have, but there's a lot of different security standards. ISO 27000, very important. But there's some that can say that NIST is the gold standard. You can say that fair methodology can be seen as a gold standard. So they're all helpful in trying to hire and get better terms and conditions. For me personally, I think the future of cyber insurance for infrastructure will come down to AI. And we're seeing this be introduced, especially by insurers, which has been the first 5 years where they do either an outside-in scan or an inside-out scan. Now, the difference is an outside-in, you're only checking external web-facing domain. So you can find maybe a few open issues that's externally facing. So if an insurer can find this, which they do check for, anyone else in the world can look at this. An inside-out scan is a little bit more detailed, but you require network access. The issue that we see, whether it's from insurers as well as brokers, is the move into AI technology and discussing where the pitfalls could be for clients. The RT team can see it as a customer attacking themselves. Now, you can reduce the threat of cyber, you can't really eradicate it, but it's all about how do you explain where the better ways to get terms and conditions are. Okay, you don't have these processes in place, it will help, but you also don't want to offend the client as well, and client with best systems in place are also going to attack. So it's not limited just because
So with that, I want to ask the biggest surveyor who won at least as a audience poll. So can I request you all to, out of the audience, to show us a hands up if you all have a cybersecurity policy in your company, if you all know that you all have got a cyber policy posted on the walls. Hands up for those who say, yes, you do. Amira, this is a good photo moment for you. Those who have hands down, they're clients. She's a broker. So yeah, we're talking about 20-25% who say they do. And those who haven't put their hands up, you got to go out and discuss what we did. We're going to have the link already posted on our ICS LinkedIn profile, so you can run this, because it is a big risk and an upcoming risk. That's why we're seeing the conversation around it. I know Yaman, you'll have your loving partners around being followed by DNB. Do you all have a legal experience on going after cyber criminals? What are the recourse actions? Have you been in?
We have most of the cases we have in the Irani last week again, but most of the cases we have involved fraud and theft of money in a way. I wouldn't call it theft of fraud involving, directing funds in certain ways, where basically two cases where emails, different emails have been used, but with the same structure. It's the typical thing which you'll see. But also we have seen recently, we have one recently which in a transaction which actually we were involved in, where someone had the exchanges started sending emails directing funds somewhere else. But the partner dealing with it, he picked it up, started calling the parties, and this is the type of cases basically we see. The problem is it's not easy to recover and to take actions, and this is an area where even the legal practice will also develop, because what's happening now is any of these attacks which involve redirecting funds and fraud they will qualify as money laundering under the money laundering laws. Under that law, the prosecution will confiscate that money. So there was lawyers who went into that trap where they were able to stop the funds and to commence actions against the criminals. But then that funds they were not able to recover the funds because it has been confiscated, because it has been redirected, so it's all under money laundering. So it's still developing area.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting place to keep a watch on. It is not developing. Coming interestingly, you said laundering that got I think one thinking about again, and he's asked another interesting question on the screen, and he's asking about charter's liability with regards to dark fleet. Do you think charter's liability insurance helps when you're dealing with somebody who is already in the dark fleet? At least I interpreted that as a question, but maybe what are the sense of it?
I know the question. So what really happens is, and it's not only the dark fleet, you have a ship which is entered with the respective PNI club, and the PNI club basically walks with the claim for whatever reason. Unpaid premiums, breaches cover, warranties, so on and so forth. The ship sits in the port, and who's the next person? Maybe a big charter. So who's going to pay the mess? Is it going to be the charters insurer, which is technically charters is the second line of defense, an indemnity claim brought under the charter party. It's not to bail the ship out. And there'll be many examples with us, with other clubs as well, where the respective club is not paid a claim for one reason, and the court catches the charter next with the big one. So would the charter's policy respond? It shouldn't, technically, but at times, because you want to show good service, you need to pay the charter out because those claims can march. Now, when it comes to the dark fleet, there's a condition on the policy certificate that the ship owner should be entered in the respective PNI platform. So when it comes to the dark fleet, we all know dark fleet is associated with sanction trade, and at least that's what maybe complain the question that so that insurance anyway is not acceptable. That ship only entered with charters insurer if that vessel doesn't have a proper PNI. The vital goods secured with the good security PNI now pay the ship out. So who are answering to your question is that that's a ticket to trade. So really we would cover it. I don't think any other club would cover it as well.
So dark fleet, Yaman, is it innocent until proven guilty? Still holds good?
Is that what, sorry?
When we talk about dark fleet, who defines it? Is innocent until proven guilty hold good? I think West is not Russia, but should really trading below the price?
It's I don't know
How
I mean, if the problem, I mean, with even with low fares, maybe even more than insurance, it's becoming very difficult even for us to. So every time we get instructed on any vessel now, the risk and compliance team will flag for the last 6 months, and will flag any AIS shutdown, will flag any high risk ports, will flag any slow speeding in certain areas. We don't make any accusation or something, but we do ask questions until we satisfied we wouldn't act.
So it's only based on suspicion. The last question, satisfied whether or not, in your own judgment, the vessel has been acting suspiciously.
Yeah, but until they are sanctioned, I mean, we cannot pass them.
Yes, absolutely. Until proven guilty. That's interesting because charter's liability never been mandatory, but is it a kind of a mandatory? That's what I believe was being asked. But thank you.
It's a reputational thing on sanction, right? Sometimes you can insure the voyage, even if it has a proper P&L account, it's just sometimes where the trade is happening from and to. So the club generally will probably look at the overall risk. If it's an existing short, getting compliant with due diligence, rather than taking on something new where I actually don't know. So you expect, insurance broker will come to you and say this is the risk, and it's just something new to you. So at least the last 3-4 years after the war, the clubs are a little skeptical on taking on new risk where they don't know they're short, member, and then question. But rather than somebody who's already been with you and you've got your price cap and things like that. So it's you don't say yes or no, but you just look at it individually and then take it.
Thank you very much. There's one last question from Anuj, and then we'll take closing remarks from right to left, from green to the red. Anuj asks about the typical time frame for the background check of a dark fleet. I can tell you this, Anuj. Constellation partnered with a company called Constellation for the Middle East. It is 3 minutes is what they claim. You send a slip, which underwriters get, to an email which is gone to the portal. The AI scrambles information and it takes 3 minutes to give all the information you need about the last 1 year, including the CII, carbon capture, everything, and the background and benchmark it to the industry claim values. But 3 minutes is what I know that one company has succeeded. But there's no particular question. How much does it usually take for somebody to assess this? When we're in inquiry,
with us, it's probably more than 3 minutes. I don't think there is a set time frame. It depends also on how much transparent the client is in terms of providing information some matters you can clear within the same day. Sometimes it's but also there is another element in the communication channels. So lots of time we're not communicating with the operator. Let's say part of the operator, Kavita was operating with Enam, and the broker, and then the broker speaking the matter. So it's hard to put it out.
Anuj, you want to clarify the question, please?
I'm sorry.
Somebody take the mic now.
Sorry, really wanted to catch was, is it 6 months, 12 months, 24 months? What's the time frame? 6, 12, 24.
About the compliance. Honestly, so I don't think there is, sorry for that, but I don't have a straightforward answer. I think it depends on the brand. I think some insurers, lawyers, I don't know what you guys do. For us, it's 6 months.
I remember once when the IT department was the biggest department in the company, now it's compliance and sanctions. We have a huge sanctions team, and they are kept busy round the clock. But it goes one step further than that. Our loss prevention team signed up to a lot of these intelligence data gathering, and we monitor the movements of all vessels. So I can't emphasize enough, certainly from an IG perspective, how it can impact the international group and the reinsurance program and so on. So it's far wider. So from an IG perspective, I think 6 months, 12 months, that's the normal. But it's, cover is there until the point which sanctions are breached, and it's terminated retrospectively as if they were then rented. That's our
and there is other elements. I mean, usually compliance officers look into that. They will look into other red flags, change of flag of the vessel, change of ownership, so which maybe also play a role in terms of how far they will look back.
I mean, one of the red flags we see is when the same bit of business is presented by one broker, and then you start thinking, we all talk amongst each other at clubs. The same piece will be presented by 3, 4, 5 different brokers. That's when there's a red flag.
No, that's interesting. I'm conscious of it being an hour already, having started a few minutes late. But I want to start with our closing remarks. If there's no further question, Anuj's last question will be taken. Tom, what's your closing remark you can end with a nice, interesting story or a claim. Success, or anything like successful recovery of a claim in the cyber world. What was the perspective?
It's not necessarily about a successful recovery. It does in relation to data. First and foremost, when we look at cyber claims, especially our active broker, first of all, we want to fix what the issue is. Before we discuss the business interruption cost, what is the issue? How do we fix it as quickly as possible? Because that will then streamline everything's works. In terms of successful stories, it can be done in different ways. Claims, that's my job in order to make sure the client gets the claim. One thing we discussed earlier was insurability, and as Starbuck mentioned. And this is also something that we look at in success stories, because every client is insurable in some way when it comes to cyber. But the difference is going to be the terms and conditions and the cost of your payment. So what people need to take advantage of, when 25% of people get purchased cyber insurance policy, depending on how much you're paying, do you know that you get free loss prevention services in order to mitigate the risk year on year? Depending on your insurance policy, it's likely you get free phishing simulation testing, instant response planning, crisis simulation tabletops, insight report sessions to understand what your risks are, all free of charge. So there's a cost saving element that you might be outsourcing already, and you can have this as part of your insurance policy. In terms of the closing remark, again, 25% of people here have a cyber insurance policy. How many of you know where your cyber insurance policy is? And how many of you know who is your incident response panel? Who is your legal representation? Who is your forensics? Who is your public relations? Who is your ransom negotiation? Because if you don't know that now, and you might start insurance policy, how are you going to navigate through this?
Well said. I think there's a lot of awareness, and if there is a take home, this is a fantastic take home. So all those who have, please go and investigate. Also ask who your first incident respondent is. Might be Constellation. Anyway, cyber services, people ask that. That's my plug. What's your closing remark? PNI versus the owner's perspective. How do you think owners should navigate? How do you see the trend going forward? And what would your advice, take home comment on these?
Sorry, what perspective? The
Just open, closing remarks for the people, anything. Not cyber, we've spoken enough about all that you thought. So what's your closing remark for the
I was going to end with an interesting case. I think from a PMI perspective, we're there to pay claims. We're there to ensure that the ship owners' business isn't interrupted, that their trade continues. And I think it's really just emphasising the focus from PMI perspective is service. But the all-round service, Tom mentioned, will be additional benefits that the cyber provides out. From PMI's perspective, you've got claims, you've got the underwriter, you've got loss prevention. And I think it's really just owners not always being aware what benefits they receive from their club. They should utilise that. But it's constantly evolving. We're always looking at ways to improve that. And the digital era has been introduced things like we've worked with the likes of GeoLect and others where an owner can log in at any time and they can click on a location, and that location will tell them cargo claim trends, where they can do content operations, if there's piracy issues. So we're always looking at ways to be innovative and to use AI or technology. So I think my takeaway from there is really it's from a human perspective, we're all providing the same service. How can we differentiate? How can we differentiate ourselves? So I think that's where the real-time portal to access such information is quite key. Thank you. In my view, my independent view is that you obviously have a lot of clients here at West, and that's why you got Kavita as your office CEO here. You see him pulling his hair out very soon.
clients coming out that's asking for the claims to be paid out without looking at it.
Not at all. That was very fast. That's what we took him on. I think we'll be absolutely fine.
All right. That's a good gesture to have customer service coming close with the customer and having office here with us. Well done again, without going bubbles, but I think that's a good customer service move. Coming to Kavinit, charters, and don't wear your underwriter hat and speak because this is about claims. Speaking from the perspective, because if you write bad risk as an underwriter, I do not see you as an underwriter being out of the firing line, because I'm sure claims head, frankly, you might know very well, would look at you with a frown, saying, what have you written? And don't tell me you only write clean business, because that's not possible, nothing like that. So with that, what would be a closing remarks be, and your advice to the chartered clients here to take away from this conference, from this panel discussion, as an advice?
It's a question talking about where the underwriters hat, and I don't know where to start from, but one thing I've done, at least usually in Asia, is that I don't want to be an underwriter who goes to a client at the 11th month seeking a renewal, and he telling me that you've done a poor job. So in the last 12 years, I know on a daily basis, or every sure, at least not nitty-gritty of it, what is happening on a daily basis. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. You must not forget, an insurance company does not want to see claims. So they do loss prevention, talks, seminars, so on and so forth. So what I've done unconventionally is that I speak to my insurers openly about claims. And that is not, so coming back to expectation management is that whenever it's possible, you talk about change or your issues when it comes to it. So it makes your policy renewal process much more easier. Otherwise, we're always looked at is that you're the guy taking the money, are you giving this back? So that is something which I personally have done across Asia. Yes, all things can't be paid. It's not something club pay and the club will pay. It's not. There are terms and conditions under the policy. What we try and do is educate the client enough so he doesn't reach the cover, rather than doing a post-mortem and going to the fine print. So that is something which I think I want to, I have not read my car insurance policy, but I would like my broker and my club to explain me that if I take it to a scientific bashing in the desert, it's not covered because I don't have the extension. So this is what we do on the charting side. I think some clients, their own knowledge level is up here, some are down. So we're trying to build that knowledge base to a level which is respectable, and the clients don't land outside the insurance policy. Second point is, what I emphasize, and this is probably, when I talk about ICS, is that please read what is getting into the contract. If we take a house on rent, we know what the rent is, we know what the landlord in Dubai is. Whereas sometimes, it amazes me when I was saying, I didn't know that there's so much of ignorance going into the contracts. That people are concluding contracts, whether it's a sale contract, a commodity contract, a charter party. There is no internal process in every company. Even the top guy, sometimes, there's so many departments that the contracts are being included, and then the wrong clauses are put in. And then when those clauses are triggered, that gives rise to a dispute. Of course, I'm not saying the lawyers come in later on, not trying to take their role here, but as an underwriter, I would like to see what due diligence taking into contracts across the world, across the charting community. Within business in South Africa. But we see it in claims that, oh, sorry, I didn't read this. So that is what I would like to see the charting community do.
Yeah, so provided this time, usually everybody is not able to.
Well, Zarid, if we are doing it, reading our own it's a personal money, you're reading, your tax bill as well. So why wouldn't you invest time when you're dealing in millions of dollars? Why would you want, by the way, I didn't read the COVID clause, or I didn't read this clause.
I mean, to be honest, I would like to speak to the boss of the companies to, spare time on reading the contracts. I don't think there's an excuse there.
Well, they walk the walk. Anyway, but that's a good point. Contracts are key. Clauses in there are key. It's a fantastic takeaway. I think even if you don't have time, you got to make time. That's a very good takeaway. But then we come down to the correspondent because usually Kavita, you are the first people who get called when the bottom falls off of a potential claim. There's a panic master at the other end. There's usually an operator. There's usually somebody from the P&I club. Perhaps Kavinit might call you one morning and say, at 2 o'clock, Kavita, can you send the surveyor? I hope you think of Constellation that hour. If you don't, could you answer the question about what and how do you see as a first incident response? How does it play a part in claims good practices, and what would you say as a good practice would be for the expectation of the audience here?
Yeah, from a correspondent perspective, I think the most important part is the communication. That is the key. Be it with BNI club, be it with vessel owners, be it with charters, everything comes to communication. Setting up right expectations from the first stage itself and not promising them things that cannot happen. Every region has their own laws and own jurisdictions to follow. Procedures might take place, priorities might be different for authorities that you approach. So giving them a realistic timeline is very, very important. I cannot say, yeah, if the vessel is arrested, I can get it released tomorrow, and GSA, But getting into it and giving the club all perspectives of it, that this can happen, what we are going to do about it, that really plays a role for me.
Oh, thank you very much. Coming to Yaman, I have a very interesting thought in my mind. Yaman, you and I are both brave that the world events claim free, and there are no disputes. Everybody is happy, and the holding hands and skipping in the garden about the course. But it's not perfect world. Although we wish everything goes well, as lawyer you would, as a surveyor, as a clinical happen, but it doesn't happen so. So when you get a complicated case or something silly comes up on the table and you said, this could be easily settled over fine at the bar table, but it comes down to one wanting to get the other person next. What would you tell our clients as the first and the best, the don't tell me communication, don't tell me it depends. You already said it once or twice. I'll let you. But as a lawyer, and how would you give your closing remark and your perspective to the audience to say, guys, this is the best practice. Get on with it. You've seen enough claims which come around, especially from a GCC perspective. There's lots of new maritime law coming up, and a lot of that plays a very, very important role. Jurisdiction is key in this of the region we are in. From that angle, what would your closing remarks be, sir?
My closing remarks, I would say we talk about claims and answering the question mostly is giving clients an honest assessment of the position. But at the same time, what I'm known for personally is that I try to push to change things when I see the wrong things. And I always give this silly example about, for example, cargo claim in Kuwait, where ship agents are held liable as if they are carrying. When the law doesn't say that, when it just honestly, it's an acceptance. It used to be an acceptance by the legal community there that this is what the position is in court. And it used to be like this is the UAE 20 years ago, and then it was fighting back. It changed into like putting back things right. And this applies on everything. It applies even up to a stage of dealing with major casualties, for example, in certain countries in the region where people would say, this is how it is, this is what you should do. But actually, the law doesn't say that. It says something else. So what I will always suggest, I always advise is that in order to things to progress and practice, to progress the claims practice, the insurance practice for the premiums to come down, there need to be some investment into managing claims properly, I would say.
Investment, manpower investment, good lawyers investment.
Good lawyers, yeah, including that, but having a fighting spirit, I would say, just to not to accept from things.
Thank you very much. I think we've covered a lot in the hour and 10 minutes that we spoke this evening. We've taken enough audience questions, and we've had a fantastic meeting to end with, which is over the weekend, a fantastic festival, which is the Festival of Lights. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali to you all. Happy Diwali to our lovely panelists. We've got a good spectrum of panel, and I want to thank all of you for fine time to come and talk to our audience. Thank you very much. Before we go away, we got some goodie bags, environmentally friendly jute bags. We will take you all. As you have given our that's for you, sir. Thank you very much. We'd like to call Krishnan on to for the performance, so please. Our chairman elect, not vice chairman, elect. Sorry, no. Enough for photo moments so that we have more people. That's for Tom. Krishnan. That's for Enam. The 2 months, so one for Yaman, one for the new office. Kavinit, 2 months, you do a certificate, one to share the global head of claims, Franklin, one very well. Why he's getting help? He keeps saying, where is my hat on? Thank you very much. Kavita, other circumstances were fantastic. It's for 9 or 10. One very well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, guys. Thank you. Let's leave this way, and we will call Dinesh next to give away 2 certificates before we split for the day, and I tell you the future event. And Vivek. Dinesh. Vivek, come on. You took the trouble. Dinesh runs our education portfolio being added on the floor. Thank you very much, sir. Before we split out, just run through the upcoming events. We've got one coming up on 31st of October. That's actually tomorrow. Please come and join us. Our next such event in the same venue is going to be by our president now. He's the president now. International president, not the vice president anymore. So Puneet Oza is coming down from Singapore, and he's going to speak about what we spoke earlier this year about geopolitics and the Red Sea transit strategy. So he's going to talk about how to thrive amidst geopolitical challenges. Very interesting. He has a good handle on that subject. He will speak at events. That's on 27th of November. The next one's coming up is the Understanding Shipping Code 4, which is going to start And we have all those dates open for registration is called for from October onwards to March. Please sign up. Understanding shipping has been a very popular subject. If you have support staff in the office who you think are deserving to actually formally understand shipping rather than have Chinese whispers, Chinese whispers in your office, this is the course to be because it does actually make them understand shipping. It's in the subject. And we couldn't have done this without the money bags. And we've got a brand new, legacy sponsors title, which thanks to one of our legacy supporters of ICS, which is on here, and I'll let you guess who it is. They said we've been supporting ICS from the day we had sponsorships, time sponsorships open, and we would like to have some acknowledgement. And we immediately took on the committee unanimously said, of course, those who have supported us from the first year that we have been coming up with this annual sponsorship. These are the lovely companies. They have supported on various categories of sponsorship. These are nothing to do with the monetary. This is longevity. They've been with us 7 continuous years as sponsors. And we like to acknowledge them as legacy sub-sponsors. So we've come up with this new category this year to thank them, to acknowledge them for their support. And those are all the companies there. And then we have, of course, our platinum sponsors who really reach out deep into their pockets and believe in our storyline. Then we have our Middle East sponsor awards, and I'd like to call upon one of them, sponsor award, who's present in this room, to tell us in a minute. Kavinit, can you tell us why your company, that is the Charters PNI Club, supports it? We do this as a testimony of what is in it for them. What do they see as a vision to support the institute for this education, for this knowledge sharing? Please, sir.
See, for us, it was a no-brainer because, in the chartering world, as you know, most of the contracts are contributed by the shipbrokers. So we thought that it just makes it more valuable to add, in some way or possible, give back to the industry, to the shipbroking community, because we thought they're the guys who are fixing the contracts. And when they fix the contract, they are the ones who, if they are, altering or any of the terms, we would get claims. So across not only in the Middle East, I do that in Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Middle East, we kind of arrange talk sessions with the shipbrokers. They're not the end clients, but those are the guys who are actually controlling the business. So the ICS platform, I thought Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers just, was for the no-brainer for us. But ICS, I think, has evolved more than just being chartered shipbrokers. If you see the audience here, the people from, how many shipbrokers are in this zone, right? So the question is, like I met you outside, right? So you guys are the ones fixing ships, you're fixing deals, right? And if you're fixing deals, it's not about the money, it's about the whole contract. So if you guys do not understand the contract and there's a dispute, how are you going to broke that, right? So I had this question to the shipbroking community when I came ashore, is that you fix the deal, there's a dispute, you talk to your club, you get in the boxing ring, if it doesn't solve club to club, then it goes to the courtroom, right? But what is the broker doing? And even the big boys, right? Some of them names here, they say, well, we just brokers. Whereas I thought that if I'm a broker earning a 1.25%, I need to add some value. And what value will I add if I don't understand the basics of shipping, right? So we started to do that 12, 15 years ago. So it's paid dividend now. But as I said, ICS is a larger platform. You have S&P brokers, you have insurance brokers, you have ship brokers, and if you see a lot of your workshops and talks around, it's not only about transaction, it's about insurance, it's about ship finance, it's about agency work. It's about everything. So if there are company owners here, and if you are looking to develop your own organizations, I think ICS platform is good because the teachers they're taking time from their day jobs to come and educate the society. So I've been attending this for the last 12 years. When I stepped in Dubai, I think my second day or third day of the job was that's where the hub position actually, because it took me 12 years to come on stage. So my hub there was actually in gratitude and thanking him that this platform has been very successful, especially in the Middle East chapter and the other chapters as well. Right?
Do you think Travis will support us next year?
Yes, hopefully.
That's all I want to hear. That's why I called you. Thank you very much. And saying that we would like to have more of y'all sitting on the fence and thinking whether or not to support ICS. If there is a CSR responsibility somewhere in the company, please go and talk to them. Tell them that there is not just people with money who come up and support. There are people like me and Dinesh and other committee members whom I'd like to kindly invite, including our chairman of the branch, Ali. Please come up here. And I would like to say that those who have the money, like Charles Penai, support us monetarily, but more importantly, those who have the time, Dinesh, please. That's a committee who have, yes, press button, come up here, please. Please give away our time. We would like to do this for our community, for people like us who have gained so much from the love, affection, the respect, and the acknowledgement which comes. And here we are, our two colleagues are missing, but Dinesh, Ali was our chairman, Uberoi, we elected 6 committee members, and all this effort goes in by us absolutely without expecting anything in return. It's an absolute pro bono initiative, and one of us or two of us inspire each other all the time. There's always a slack moment, but every once in a while we come up with a peppy comment in the group, and then everyone gets perked up. And here's our leader, Ali, who gives us all the motivation and appreciation, which is a great learning from him, which I have a lot. But thank you very much. We can't end the event without saying thank you to Ruben, who's doing this, and Alicia and Natasha. Thank you very much for giving us the support that we need. You all are the backbone of, because we keep pushing everything to them. So actually the work is done by them. We just come here for the photographs. Thank you for coming, and got some snacks, please network. And if you all make any business out of the networking, please come and sponsor the net, not the ICS is the next award event. With that, our announcements are all here, so please, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, please here. And all the best, and do some good networking.